you need to do in your life as well. Now, this is just the introduction of it tonight. It's just the introduction of it, but we will go deeper into it next week because I don't want to put too much on you at one time. But crisis and emergency risk communications, the first responder has to think outside of themselves during a crisis. If they don't, a life may be lost, or in the military, several lives may be lost because of the weak link. And you know the old saying, you're only as strong as your weakest link. Meaning, if you have a weak link among you, or you are the weak link, then you can bring the whole crew down, your whole family, your friends. You could put too much on your friends, thinking that they can handle what you have been through, and sometimes your friends can't handle it. Sometimes they're going through their own emotional struggles, but when you put that on them, that pressure on them, instead of getting help to see about yourself, it can cause your family members and your friends to break as well. So the first thing I need you to note down as a first responder is to think outside of yourself. Think outside of yourself. What would you do as a human if you saw somebody laying down and sick? What would you do as a human if you saw somebody running in the streets out of their mind? What is the first thing that you would do? All right? So the next thing is, first responders' role is to show up to the disaster of violence. They are prepared to treat, de-escalate, or stabilize the situation. Sometimes when you're going through anxiety and depression, I know you feel like you're having a heart attack. I know you're starting to sweat really bad. I know some people shake. I know some people get off balance. Some people start hallucinating and seeing things. But if you would stabilize yourself first, which means get to you a grounding technique to stabilize you. How do you do that? Start using your senses. What do you smell? What do you see? Can you touch something? If you can touch something, sometimes that will bring you back into reality. So when you show up to yourself when you're having a crisis like that, you get yourself back in reality by using your senses, touching, sound, even down to sound. If you hear certain noises, I know when I took anxiety support group therapy, we were given little baby rattles to rattle, and that can bring you back. So always keep you something on hand that you can hear, a bell or anything that can keep you back into that reality. All right. Let me see here. The next thing is the role is to provide directions to get safety. Their words are powerful and have influence over people who need assistance. So your words are powerful. Understand, when you show up for you, you have the power to speak life or death. It's all in your tongue. It's up to you. If you choose to sit there and say, I'm about to die, then you're going to make yourself more fearful. But if you stand there and you say, this ain't even of God, I am not fearful, I am fearless, I have courage, God promised me he would never leave me. You'll be surprised when you start speaking out loud those things over your life, how that anxiety will begin to flee and ease down. Okay? The next thing is they use efficient and effective communication. Communication strategies can help responders gain trust and reduce anxiety in those being treated and achieve better emotional and physical outcomes for their patients and safer conditions for all. In other words, learn to trust yourself. Trust yourself during this time that you are safe. There is nothing nobody is doing to you during this time. I'm talking about like if you're going through a mental depression or anxiety right now. Know that you are safe. Or if you happen to be in a domestic violence situation, then you know, or any type of violent situation, then you get to safety. And when you get to safety, then you call for help. But make sure that you are safe first before you call for help, because there's sometimes when people start calling and they'll be still in the war zone. And we can't have y'all still in the war zone. We got to get you moving. And that's why your mind has to be stable. That's why when you feel yourself zoning out or disassociating, understand that disassociation is where you can zone out. It's not just zoning out. You're actually leaving from your presence and going into a past realm. And you have to keep speaking life to keep yourself up out of that realm, because you ain't got no business in the past. What's going on with you is happening now. So you have to speak and do everything you can do to stay in this present moment. And Mark Divine says anyone can have the mindset of the first responder. It takes training your mind not to overact in a crisis, but focus on what's going on in order to come with a solution to de-escalate or stabilize the situation. Things happen all the time, but how we respond to them is what makes or breaks our mind. Does anybody have any questions so far? Any questions so far? Okay. Excuse me. Okay, the next thing is, now this is Mark Divine's. This is his list of things to do to show up as a responder. And if you want to, you can go check out his website where you can, and the videos that I am putting into the group chat. You can always look at those. They are only like 2 to 5 minutes long. If you get one longer than that, he was feeling himself, okay? But other than that, you know, the videos are really short and they are very direct and specific as to what you need to do in that type of situation. All right, so if you're stepped into the first responder mindset, in order to do that, you have to remember the 4 R's. And the 4 R's are readiness. You can write this down: response, recovery, and resilience. Okay, so readiness is choose and train the mindset of a first responder. Eliminate the victim mentality. Okay, so how do you do that? What you do, if you listen to the audio book that I gave y'all to listen to, it tells you exactly how to do it. And I love the way that the guy is describing how to do it. What he said to do is, while you have peace in your heart and your mind, that is the time to train for the war. So while your mind is at peace, this is the time where you should be learning yourself and trying to figure out different coping skills that will work for you, because what will work for one might not work for the other. Like some people love to write. Writing works for me, but that might not work for you. So this is the time when you have to get into yourself, begin to assess yourself and find out the things that you really like or the things that you know can bring you back. And I want to say, sometimes when you mention your children or a loved one, they can, but a majority of time, if you are losing it mentally and you're feeling like you're out of control, that loved one cannot bring you back. It's only going to be you can bring you back. That only works 5 to 10% of the time. 90% of the time, it's going to be you that has to do the work to get you back into reality. So choose and train the mindset of a first responder and eliminate the victim mentality. It's so easy to feel like you're a victim whenever you're having anxiety or depression or your mood swings. Those of you that are bipolar 1, bipolar 2, or schizophrenia, sometimes, you know, you can feel easily like you are the victim. But I come to tell you, if you speak up, you won't be the victim. Speak up against it and train yourself while you are at peace, because there is going to become a war. There's going to come a time when you're going to war within. And that's all. That's for everybody. That's even for the people that you think don't have mental issues. There comes a time when everybody's self-esteem may drop. There comes a time when people may feel like they're not pretty enough, or they don't make enough money, or they don't have enough skills for a certain job, so it sends them into depression. So, see, it can happen to anybody, but readiness is the key. The next thing is response. What you do when the crisis happens. You can write out your own scenario of what you would do. What if I'm at home and I see something that triggers me into an anxiety attack, or I feel like I'm losing my mind and I'm out of control? You can write ahead of time scenarios and answers to what you would do, and practice saying them, so if something does come up, you will do it. You will do it, all right? The next thing is recovery. Get back in balance. You got to recover from it. Nobody can do it for you. It has to be you. Let me tell y'all something. Even in the mental institutions that are out here, the medicine is only enough to treat the symptoms, but the patient can't recover without the patient. You hear me? You can't recover unless you show up to life. And that means that you got to rebuke every fear, every anxiety, and you got to stand up and stand your ground for you. This is your time. This ain't about your friends and your family. This is about you tonight and today overseas. This is about you. In order to recover, you have to show up and you have to get balanced. That's what recovery is. When you show up to your own life and you say, I'm ready, and you do what you have to do to find your balance. All right? So the fourth thing is resiliency. Okay, develop a mindset so that we are always ready and able to respond and recover. All right, I'll give you a good example of that. Me, I have been through several mental battles over my lifetime, but never once did I just give up and say, no, this is it. I'm not going to pull through this. Instead, what I did, I picked myself up. I learned ways to do things. And if I already knew how to do it and it wasn't working, I learned a new way to do things. I continue to keep learning and growing. So when you stop learning and growing, then you are giving up on yourself. And what ends up happening is when you take a hard hit, if you take a loss in your family or you take a loss of a job, some people go off the deep end just off in the break of a fingernail. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but I do have women that I talk to, if they just break a fingernail, it sets them up for anxiety and depression. And this is just the world that we live in. So you got to know how to get back up regardless of what happened. Get back up. You're hurt, you're wounded, and it seems like there's no tomorrow, but you get back up and live to see if it is anyhow. And once you make it through that day, you continue to live on the rest of them 24 hours and keep on every day. Keep each day in its place. Every day we are given 24 hours out of the day. Out of that 24 hours, you ought to take 30 minutes for yourself. I know a lot of women say, I can't do it. I can't do it. But you have got to make time for yourself, or else they will make a bed for you in the mental ward or the cardiac room. All right? So make the time for you. And this here SEAL Fit, what I just gave you, the 4 R's from Navy SEAL Mark Divine, this will help build your endurance and durability. And you need endurance. A lot of people say, Lord, I need strength. But you need endurance in the time of a crisis. You need endurance. You need to be able to get back up and keep going. All right? Okay, let me see what my time is. Good timing. All right, so the next thing is, write this down, it's time management. A lot of people, they found themselves lost and out of control because it's simply not enough hours in the day for them, so they say. They say it's not